He saves her from the blizzard, gives her his bed, asks nothing in return. Then one morning, as he's making coffee, she says it, calm as discussing the weather. "You let me sleep in your bed, rancher. Now get ready. We're having children." He nearly drops the pot, but she's serious, dead serious. Two lonely people, both haunted by loss, both facing empty futures. She's proposing something impossible, a practical marriage, a deliberate family, a life built on respect instead of romance. No love, she promises, just partnership, just survival. But as winter gives way to spring, they discover something neither planned for. Sometimes the most unlikely arrangements become the most authentic love stories. Owen Fletcher spotted her tracks first. Erratic footprints in the fresh snow, heading away from the main trail toward nothing but wilderness. He'd been checking his fence line when the blizzard hit, and now visibility was down to maybe 20 feet. The temperature had dropped to brutal cold, the kind that could kill in hours. He followed the tracks on instinct. What he found was a woman collapsed against a boulder, her lips blue, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She wore traditional Cheyenne clothing, beautifully beaded, but not enough for this weather. Her eyes fluttered open when he approached, dark and defiant, even as she shivered violently. "Can you walk?" Owen asked. She tried to stand, stumbled, and he caught her. She was light, her body trembling with cold. Without waiting for permission, Owen lifted her and began the trek back to his cabin. She didn't fight him. Couldn't, probably, but he felt the tension in her body, the distrust. His ranch was small but well-built, designed to withstand Colorado winters. Inside, the fire in the stone hearth cast warmth across the single room. Owen laid her on his bed, the only bed, and began the careful work of warming someone with severe hypothermia. He wrapped her in every blanket he owned, heated water for tea, and kept the fire roaring. She drifted in and out of consciousness. At one point, she murmured something in Cheyenne. Owen didn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. She was asking why. "Because it's the right thing to do," he said quietly, even though she probably couldn't hear him. "And because I know what it's like to be alone in the cold." For 3 days, she slept in Owen's bed while he made do with blankets near the fire. He was 36, a widower for 2 years, and his wife Rachel had died in childbirth along with their son. The cabin still held traces of them. Rachel's sewing basket in the corner, the cradle Owen had never dismantled. He'd learned to live with ghosts. On the 4th morning, Owen woke to find the woman sitting up in bed, watching him with sharp, evaluating eyes. She looked stronger now, color back in her cheeks. "Thank you," she said in clear English, "for not leaving me to die." "Couldn't do that." Owen stood, moved to the stove to prepare breakfast. "How are you feeling?" "Better." She paused. "My name is Aurora. It's what the mission school called me. My Cheyenne name is Nachkohe Ehetotse, but Aurora is easier for most people." "Owen Fletcher," he replied. "You hungry?" She nodded. "Over a simple meal of cornbread and bacon," Aurora explained. She'd been traveling to find her sister's family after her own husband died from influenza 6 months ago. She'd gotten separated from a trading party during the blizzard, wandered the wrong direction, and nearly paid for it with her life. "I have no family left in my area," she said matter-of-factly. "No children, no husband, nothing." Owen heard the emptiness in those words because he felt it himself. "I know that feeling," he said quietly. For the next 2 weeks, Aurora recovered her strength. She helped with small tasks, cooking, mending, organizing the cabin with an efficiency that impressed Owen. They fell into an easy rhythm, 2 people comfortable with silence but capable of conversation when it mattered. Owen noticed things about her, the precise way she worked, the intelligence in her observations, the quiet strength that had nothing to do with physical power. She noticed things about him too, his gentleness with the animals, the sadness he tried to hide, the loneliness that permeated the cabin like cold air. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Aurora said, "You're a good man, Owen Fletcher, but you're wasting your life being alone." "Maybe," he admitted, "but I'm not sure what else to do with it." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she said something that would change everything. "You let me sleep in your bed, Rancher," Aurora said the next morning, her tone calm and direct. "Now get ready, we're having children." Owen nearly dropped the coffee pot. "I'm sorry, what?" "Children." Aurora stood near the window, arms crossed, completely serious. "You need a family. I need a family. We're both alone. This makes sense." "Aurora, Owen struggled for words. "That's not how... You can't just decide something like that." "Why not?" She turned to face him. "In my culture, practical marriages happen. Two people who need each other, who respect each other. Love comes later, if it comes at all. But family, that's what matters. But we barely know each other. I know you're kind. I know you're honest. I know you're lonely, and this cabin needs children's laughter." She paused. "I know you saved my life when you could have left me to die. That tells me more than months of conversation." Owen sat down, his mind reeling. "And what do I know about you?" "That I'm strong, that I work hard, that I won't be a burden." Aurora moved closer. "That I want children before I'm too old to have them. That I'd rather build something new than waste away missing what's gone." It was the most direct proposal Owen had ever heard, and also the most honest. No romantic illusions, just two people facing reality with open eyes. "This is crazy," Owen said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Maybe." Aurora sat across from him. "Or maybe it's the sanest thing either of us could do. You think you'll find love again out here, alone on this ranch. You think I'll find a husband traveling from place to place with no family, no connections. There are other options. Name one." Her gaze was steady. "One that gives us both what we need: family, purpose, companionship, someone to work beside, to talk to build a life with." Owen was silent, because she was right. He'd been alone for 2 years, convincing himself he was fine, that he didn't need anyone. But the truth was, the loneliness was killing him slowly. The empty cabin, the silence, the knowledge that he'd likely die alone on this ranch with no one to remember him. "I won't lie to you," Aurora continued. "I don't love you, not yet. Maybe not ever. But I respect you. I trust you. And I believe we could make a good life together. Isn't that worth something?" "Yes," Owen admitted quietly. "It is." They didn't decide that day or the next, but the conversation had opened something between them, a possibility neither had considered before. They talked late into the nights, sharing their stories in deeper detail. Owen told her about Rachel, about the joy and the devastating loss. "I thought I couldn't do it again," he said. "Couldn't risk loving someone and losing them." "Life is risk," Aurora replied. "My husband and I loved each other. When he died, I wanted to die too. But then I realized the love was worth the pain. I'd rather have had those years with him than never loved at all." She told him about her life, about being caught between two worlds, traditional Cheyenne culture and the American society pressing in on all sides. "I went to mission school," she explained. "Learned English, learned their ways. But I never forgot who I was. Never will." "I wouldn't want you to," Owen said. "If we do this, if we really do this, you'd still be Cheyenne. Our children would know both worlds. You'd be okay with that? People in town won't accept it easily. People in town can mind their own business." Owen's voice was firm. "This ranch is ours. Our family would be ours. Nobody else's opinion matters." Aurora smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. "You mean that?" "I do." Over the following week they worked out the practical details. Aurora would stay, not as a guest, but as Owen's wife. They'd marry properly. She insisted on doing things correctly. They'd work the ranch together, build it into something that could support a family, and yes, they'd have children. "How many?" Owen asked one evening, half joking. "As many as we're blessed with," Aurora said seriously. 3, maybe 4 if we're lucky. The idea made Owen's chest tighten, not with fear, but with something he hadn't felt in years: hope. One night, as they sat by the fire, Aurora said, "I need you to understand something. I'm proposing partnership, not servitude. I'll work beside you, not for you. Our decisions will be shared." "I wouldn't want it any other way," Owen replied. "Rachel and I were partners. That's the only kind of marriage I know." "Good." Aurora extended her hand. "Then we have an agreement." Owen looked at her hand, then at her face. Strong, determined, honest. This wasn't the fairy tale he'd imagined as a young man, but it was real, and maybe real was better. He took her hand. "We have an agreement." They married in March, when the snow began to melt. The ceremony was simple, performed by a traveling preacher who asked no questions and offered no judgments. Owen bought Aurora a simple gold band in town, and she wore a dress she'd sewn herself, blending Cheyenne patterns with American style. That night, in the cabin that was now truly their home, they sat by the fire as husband and wife. It felt strange and right all at once. "Are you nervous?" Aurora asked. "Terrified," Owen admitted with a slight laugh. "Are you?" "Yes, but also hopeful." She looked at him. "I didn't expect to feel this way. When I made the proposal, it was practical. But now it feels like more," Owen finished. "Yes." They moved closer together, not with desperate passion, but with gentle curiosity. Two people beginning to discover each other, to build something from the foundation of mutual respect. Spring brought change to the ranch. Aurora proved to be as capable as she'd promised, maybe more. She understood the land in ways Owen didn't, knew which plants were useful, how to read weather patterns, how to maximize their small garden. Owen taught her about the cattle, about managing the ranch finances, about the delicate politics of dealing with neighboring homesteaders. They worked side by side from dawn to dusk, and in the evenings they talked. Really talked. About everything. Their fears, their dreams, their past pain and future hopes. The pragmatic arrangement began to transform into genuine partnership. One evening in May, as they watched the sunset paint the Rocky Mountains gold and purple, Aurora said, "I think I might be falling in love with you, Owen Fletcher." Owen felt his heart skip. "I know I'm falling in love with you." "That wasn't part of the agreement," she said, but she was smiling. "No," Owen agreed, pulling her close. "It's better than the agreement." By summer, Aurora was pregnant. When she told Owen, he wept, not from sadness, but from joy so overwhelming he couldn't contain it. He'd thought this chapter of his life was closed forever, but here it was, opening again in the most unexpected way. "We did it," Aurora said, laughing as he held her. "We're really doing this." "Yes," Owen said, "we really are." The child was born the following February, a healthy boy with his father's grey eyes and his mother's dark hair. They named him Benjamin Owen Fletcher, and he filled the cabin with sounds it had never known, crying, laughing, the chaotic joy of new life. As Owen held his son for the first time, with Aurora resting peacefully nearby, he thought about that day in the blizzard. How close he'd come to missing all of this, how a simple choice to follow tracks in the snow had led to everything. Aurora had been right from the beginning. They'd needed each other. And what had started as a practical arrangement, two lonely people finding logical reasons to build a life together, had become something neither expected but both treasured. Real love, real family, real partnership. "Thank you," Owen whispered to Aurora. "For what?" she asked sleepily. "For being brave enough to say what we both needed to hear." Aurora smiled. "We saved each other, Owen. That's what partners do." And she was right. They had.